What is up, everybody? What is going on? This is 6:30 in the morning, the Dre Mag Show coming to you again live. Um, Making sure everybody is good, everybody is happy, healthy, in their right mind. Me, I'm out of my mind. My Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. My man Chiltmunger's in the house. What is up? My Kansas City Chiefs won the Super Bowl. They had a big festivity that I slept through because I was extremely just man. You know how you just get sick and you snotting and coughing and aching, body ache and all of that. And I thought I had the tenderona. And thank God I didn't have the tenderona. So I am cool. I am good. I got some good medicine in my system, and I am ready to do a show. And today I'm kind of going to get right into it because I got to get some rest because I got to get up earlier today because I am going to see Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania today. And I have an early show that I'm going to go see. I'm going to review this film once I see it. So make sure to look out for the video of the review because I am going to review this video. But something is really big concerning me since now my stuff is up. Really big concern to me about this movie is the Rotten Tomato score, the Rotten Tomato. The I'm about to start saying the Rotten Tomato. The Rotten Tomato score has really been giving me some pause. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Um, a lot of people are really not feeling this. And I want to say that the Rotten Tomato score went from like 53 to like it's now at 51. Um, and I wish I could read, you know what? I am going to read some of this from Rotten Tomato. Now, I don't know what Rotten Tomato uh what's going on, bro? Hey, and Arcus, you complete the whole Pokédex. Yes, I have completed the whole Pokédex, and I still can't get past Arceus. I almost threw my switch. Uh, now let me kind of get back on focus on this. Now, this is the thing. A lot of people have been not putting their trust into Marvel Studios, especially after phase four and the hit and misses of phase four. And from what I understand, a lot of people is comparing this to things that we've seen in phase four. And if this is the things that's going to come in phase five, how worse is phase five going to be? Is people losing their trust in Marvel right now? And especially a lot of praise that has been going on with the Flash movie. Everybody's saying the Flash movie is very good. I was going to do some trailers since I was kind of not feeling that well. I was going to do some trailers until I got hit with a copyright strike um that I had to appeal through YouTube just for using footage of The Last of Us. If you've seen Monday's show, I used some footage of The Last of Us, not even the audio, and they automatically tried to give me a strike, and I had to fight it, and then they put it back up. It's stupid. So I didn't have the energy this week, so I didn't want to. And I see other YouTubers. And what pisses me off, you see other YouTubers doing reaction videos and stuff like that, and here I go get a complete strike. They took down my video, and I had to appeal it so they could up, so my video could get back up, and it was completely stupid. You know what I mean? So that is what it is. You know what I mean? I don't want to come on here and rant on that, but I kind of want to go over this with you guys and see what you guys think. Do you guys even trust Rotten Tomato? Again, these are a lot of the critics. Um, and a lot of these critics go to the premiere and stuff like that. So um I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I'm going to go see it myself. So let's read some of these. Perry Nemiroff. She's a YouTuber. She said, I never unsee Modoc. And she gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. As depicted here, Scott's entire personality, the whole of his character, is defined thus: I love my daughter Cassie. Where is Cassie? Oh, what have you done with Cassie? And I want to go into some of these reviews. These are all the bad ones. So let's go into some of these um full reviews because this is where it sits at 88% fresh, 88 rotten out of 171 critics, 41 the top critics. So, and this is a top critic from YouTube. I've never heard of Perry, but let's get into what Perry is talking about. This is her YouTube video, and I don't want to see her YouTube video. I'm not even gonna lie to you, and I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm done with the copyright crap, so I just read it. Detroit News puts everything besides the introduction of Kane feels perfunctory and MCU entry. This is number 31. If you keep the score, has never felt so rudderless. Wow. This is a fresh one. It's all entertaining enough, but Quantumania seems like an in-between enterprise, another chess move in the superhero series. Again, that's what I've heard a lot in. I think I posted that up. I think I was talking about that with what did the critics think on that video that I did last week? And it seems like it's hit and miss. It seems like what I said with Soups. Soups said that this just feels like part one of basically of a start of phase five, like episode one, if you compare to the Phantom Menace, or you look at episode four in the original Star Wars trilogy. Um, Again, I gotta watch this movie for myself, see what I think about it. Sometimes and critics have been very, 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 very harsh on the MCU as of late. And for me, yeah, I don't want to get my fandom involved again. They gave this movie a 51%, but I believe they gave like Black Panther Wakanda Forever like a 53. Matter of fact, no, I mean like a 83. Let me see what let's see. Yep. Wakanda Forever Rotten Tomato. They gave it a 84. I'm going to share this tab, and people know how I feel about this movie. And look at this, 84.94. So to me, now you can tell me am I wrong in the comment section. A copy and paste of the first Black Panther film, and without Chadwick Boseman, obviously, he passed on. They didn't recast the role. They found this way better than you know the new movie Ant-Man and Quantumania. So I'm trying to think, how bad does it have to be? And if you could look on the left hand side here where I got my crosser here, you know, these are all the movies that got fresh ratings. Ant-Man and the Quantum. I mean, it's not as bad as Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, but it's not that great either. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, how bad is this movie? Or is it going to be divided between the audience and the critics? And I've always said that the critics, you know, is always going to be divided when it comes to superhero movies. And I believe because they used the death of Chadwick Boseman as a plot device for their movie to push their movie, you wasn't going to give it a bad score just because Chadwick Boseman's, Chadwick, but not T'Challa, Chadwick Boseman's legacy was imprinted in this movie, not the character of T'Challa, because T'Challa doesn't die in the movies, but that imprinted. So you're not going to go in there and be like, whoa, hold up, this is a horrible movie because look at how they use the death of Chadwick Boseman to promote their movie, to be the catalyst of their movie. We weren't going to do that. So I knew good and well that this wasn't going to have a right score at all. A lot of people weren't going to be like, well, I don't know about this. There was excellent performances and all of that. I'm not knocking that. You know what I mean? Because I've always said good movie if it wasn't a Black Panther story. Since it is a Black Panther story, that's where I have a problem with. But most casuals don't care. Most casuals don't care. So again, I'm looking at what these people are saying about Ant-Man and Wasp. Like, how horrible is this movie? Is this movie that bad where you're like, you know what? I wouldn't, okay, let's read this guy. He said, there's so much to sift through, and occasionally, like a visual inspired subatomic set piece, bits of rolling, family tension, among the actors who are much better than their scripts. But there's nowhere to hide from MCU's accelerating sprawl. He gave it 2.5 out of 4 stars. Marvel's mini hero is back in a movie that all scale, no fun. I mean, they're literally destroying. These are all the top critics. Despite its flaws, Quantumania brings that traditional Marvel comic book flavor along with a deeper sci-fi weirdness. Its overall satisfying experience. That's from Jeffrey Harris. Peyton Reeves does an adequate job mixing the wacky silliness of Jeff Loveness script with a surprisingly hefty amount of dark and serious tone to round it out. Those are two fresh scores. Fresh scores. This is for Fiction Horizon 411 Mania. This is from Double Toasted. Ant-Man and the Wasp and Quantumania feels like you're trying to be a Marvel movie. The jokes are played up too much. Not everything needs to be funny. This is from Jorge Ribeiro from Quibo. He said, trying to be many things, a movie about family as supposed to start to phase five in arrival of its great villain. It achieves little of all that because its tone varies too widely between dense, weird, messy, full of review in Spanish. Um, Quantumanium is crackling and oddball delight, full of well-timed physical shtick, crazy world building, and game cast. And this was from Jeff York and Establishing Shot and Jeremy Johns. I'm a big fan of Jeremy Johns. Jonathan Majors Kane was great. He made the film entirely. I just wish the film he was in was a whole better. Now, this makes me want to go and check out Jeremy John's review because I didn't check out any of the reviews. Now I haven't watched any reviews from any YouTubers since this movie, since I know that I'm going to go see this movie. So I rather see Jeremy Johns since that was the last one that I seen. Let's go watch Jeremy John's video. And matter of fact, we could watch Jeremy John's video. And I would say let's watch maybe we'll watch E-Man's from E-Man's movie review. Maybe we'll watch his and let's get to okay. I want to get to Jeremy Johns first. I want to watch E-Man's and then we'll go, we'll exit out of that because again, I'm going to share you my perspective. Again, this is fair use. We're watching Jeremy John's video as a review, see what he says, and let's get to it.
MCU movie. That is a new Ant-Man movie. And before we talk about that, I want to give some love to the sponsor of this video. This video is brought to you by NordVPN. NordVPN is the digital sword, shield, and armor.
Okay, I know he's
well, the internet. Nord's use public Wi-Fi at a
okay.
Flash Johns with the purchase of a 2-year.
Go check out. Matter of fact, go check out Jeremy Johns on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel. I've been watching this guy for years.
So, Quantumania is essentially the new Journey to the Center of the Earth movie that takes place in the MCU. He said jokingly, but only half. The MCU quantum realm is not bare. It's not barren. It's not nothing. There's actually a whole civilization down there.
And I'm going to stop it right here just for a second. One of the reasons why, first of all, I'm interested in this movie because there's particular, and this is why I don't get caught up into a lot of critics. I mean, you can make your own assumption when you go watch this movie. I'm looking at the MCU as a whole, and there's certain things that has happened in the MCU that we do have to talk about. Oh God, my face is not. I want to at least put my face on the screen. Hold on. I just don't want to just be Jeremy Johns. And let me get back in here. So, as a MCU as a whole, there's certain particular things that need to be able to be cohesive within this universe. So in this universe, like the Eternals, because a lot of people, especially critics, did not like the Eternals, which I get. It's a little bit slower pace. There was a lot of boring scenes, and I'm not gonna lie and say there wasn't, but there is a piece of the MCU that is important, and the Eternal shows that portion of the MCU that's going to come on later on. And I've always said, and I'm going to continue to say this, the Eternals is probably the most important MCU film that if you listen to the critics and you just ignore that film, you're not going to see the totality of the MCU and what those particular pieces of that movie is going to set up in the future, especially if you're a fan of the X-Men, especially if you're a fan of of certain things that the Eternals, especially the Eternals and the Deviants, play a role into the civilization that is the superhero genre. So no, I'm not going to put Jeremy John's whole face back up there. I'm not going to do it. Let's go talk. Let's go talk to Jeremy John. Let's see what he says.
Michelle Pfeiffer's character was running and gunning for 30 years while she was down there. Though a few hours in the quantum realm was 5 years to us. So was she down there for 30 years or was she down there for 30 hours to her? I don't know. We're on a new adventure. Scott Lang's daughter's like, hey, I whipped up this device that can communicate with the quantum realm in my garage. They all get
And okay, all right. So that, not saying that that's a problem, because Cassie Lang is stature in the comics. My concern has always been who creates these type of things, and I'm not trying to bring this up, but T'Challa, as smart as he was, they never utilized his intelligence in that particular way. This girl is creating a whole quantum mechanics in her basement, in her garage. There's nothing seems wrong about that. And then you have someone like T'Challa, and T'Challa is not able to have his intelligence on display like that. And that's why I always had a problem why they gave White Panther Wakanda Forever at 84. Again, casuals and stuff like that. I always had a problem with that. Maybe that's me or whatever, but it's certain people that you need to show that intelligence. Cassie Lang creating a whole quantum, like literally we just seen in Ant-Man and the Wasp, you know, Lawrence Fishburne's character, Goliath, Black Goliath or whatever in the comics, literally talking about quantum fusion, quantum energy. He wasn't going into the quantum realm. Let's let's stop complaining.
get sucked down into the quantum realm. Kang is there. There's going to be a problem. And they need to try to get out of there unscathed. Okay, what I liked about this movie is very simple. It's the thing we
And I'm gonna just pause it right there. When Jeremy says very simple, what I believe is that when you start talking about movies, especially big comic book movies, the best big comic book movies has a simplistic plot. It doesn't have to be a whole lot of things going on. It literally has to have one direct focus. Why is Scott Lang them? Why is Scott Lang them? Why is Scott Lang, Cassie, um, Janet and Hank Van Damme, why are they in the quantum realm? Why are they encountering Kang? How did Kang get down there in the first place? How do they overcome the situation to get back into the normal, world? And how does Kang play a part into him trying to escape through that world? It's very simple, very simplistic. You don't have to have this plot over here, this plot over here, and all these intertwining things to have a good story. Sometimes the most simplest story is the best. Let's have Jeremy continue to talk.
all wanted to be awesome, but figured would be awesome because anyone who bets against Jonathan Majors is not playing the odds. Jonathan Majors as Kang was fucking epic. I don't mind.
And I can't wait to see that. And that's what everybody has been saying. Like Jonathan Majors is the highlight of this film. He takes over the film, which again, I might, and again, I'm going to go see it myself. I might have a problem with that. And this is the reason why, is because too many times we have the protagonist overshadow the antagonist. Well, I'm sorry, the antagonist overshadow the protagonist. We've seen this in the Dark Knight, which is kind of hard because it's the Joker. And the Joker, the way that that Joker was portrayed, it was hard not to, to kind of get sucked in into his world. Even Jack Nicklaus's Joker in Batman 1989 is hard not to get sucked in to that universe. And with Thanos from Infinity War and Endgame, it was hard not to ignore Thanos. Well, I mean, Infinity War, it was his story. He was the protagonist of his story, and the Avengers was the antagonist. You know what I mean? So it's kind of hard not to get sucked up into that storytelling. But you do have to make sure that your stars shine. And if Paul Rudd is not playing it's not playing up, it's not bringing his A game next to Jonathan Majors Kane, and he just destroys him, not only in the actual film itself, but the acting is probably going to have, it's probably why you're going to see a duality in that Rotten Tomato score.
Mind saying he completely made the movie. The movie has some fun in there, absolutely, but it's the basic MCU talking points you have after you see an MCU film. He showed up to work and showed up he did. Not only that, a standout MCU villain just in the entirety of the MCU. Just
And that's good. One thing that the MCU has been lacking: very good villains, and very good villains that eventually get killed off. Gore was a very good villain if he would have got the time to do a lot more butchering, and not being Pennywise or creepy Freddy Krueger or whatever. If he would have the time to do exactly what he needed to do within that story, which is to butcher the gods and have a motivational. But we've seen it, if we seen more of his people and they're praying to these people, and the guys are not answering their prayers, and then you see his daughter die, and you see more, not just Gore daughter die, but you see people around him really going out and praying to these guys, and he's getting ignored and they die, and he has to live with that guilt around them. That makes a more compelling story, a more compelling villain, and then you understand why he has a problem with the guys. When you cut those parts out for jokes and giggles and go humor, then of course you're not going to get more of a compelling story, and then you kill him. Killmonger dead. You know what I mean? There's so many. Ulysses Claw dead. We could have kept Ulysses around for quite a while. You know what I mean? Because he was a compelling villain. So I'm glad that he's not a villain, because you can't kill him because you got Kane Dynasty coming up, but he's not a villain that's expendable. Let me continue here.
it's great not only for this film but the MCU going forward. Because it's been like, hey, who's the new Thanos? All right, Jonathan Majors as Kang. We saw a glimpse of a variant of him at the end of Loki, but we haven't actually seen him. One of the things I liked about Jonathan Majors in this movie as Kang is he didn't fall into the MCU trap that a lot of other characters in this movie fall into, a lot of other characters in a lot of other MCU movies fall into, MCU movies in general fall into. And that's the quippiness, the MCU's overwhelming urge to make every moment a funny moment.
You see exactly what I just called, and that is a problem with MCU. This is one reason why I liked a lot of the DC movies, because, well, let me take that back. Let me be specific on that. Okay, Justice League, the Snyder Cut took all of the stuff that with Josh Whedon put in there, like the quips and stuff like that, to try to make it more MCU-ish. Where everybody's trying to be funny. No, you know what I'm saying. You have your in anything. You have a comedy. The best comedy is when you have a funny man and a straight man, and the funny guy's trying to get the straight man a break. That's when comedy is gold. You know what I mean? You can literally have two comedians, one playing the straight man, one playing the funny man. You know what I mean? But in the MCU, everybody has to have a joke. And you don't really have to. And we've been falling more and more and more and more until everybody tells a joke. Everybody has a funny moment. And you don't have to. That's almost like the love. It's like when a lot of movies do the love interest as a motivation for the character. You don't have to have a love interest to motivate the character. Hell, life itself is motivation. Why don't you explore this character's life? You don't have to have a woman or a man or whoever in the character's space to be able to motivate him. Hell, just waking up every day, trying to pay bills, trying to get things together, all of that is motivation for a character. So, those things need to be weeded out of a lot of these MCU films so we can start feeling them again and we can start enjoying the movies, as a totality. And maybe some of the critics will understand where we're coming from, understand the problem and actually start jumping aboard, these MCU films. Let's keep going.
Have everyone have a snarky, quippy response. Like everyone needs to be funny, even when it's out of characters. Not everybody has to be funny. Have your comic relief character, and
Mhm.
that's totally fine. But when the shit's going down, don't compromise it with humor. And this movie does do that, but not when Kang is on screen. When Jonathan Majors is on screen, it's like everyone was like, "Just stand back, let him work," which was a great call.
And I'm glad he actually said that. That gives me hope when I go and watch this film. Like, if Jonathan Majors being menacing, I don't need you to, unless you're Deadpool. If you're Deadpool, you say crazy stuff to Kang the Conqueror or to Thanos. If you've ever read, Deadpool versus Thanos, all he does is get on Thanos's nerves. That is okay because that is within the character. I don't need to see Captain America telling jokes, and I don't need to see other characters that is out of their character, especially in tense moments, be funny. And Thor: Love and Thunder, that's one of the major problems that I have. Is in really strong moments, Thor it doesn't need to be a funny guy. Like, I mean, I get it. Make him, not as dense, but Jesus Christ, it was a lot going on. And it's not like Thor Ragnarok. You know what I mean? It was just too much. What's going on? What's going on, Darth? What's going on, my brother? All right, let's continue because I gotta let this roll so I can get out of here.
Oh, he's engaging as hell. He's threatening. You know he will follow through on his threats. He's a badass villain by any metric. Also, I will say some of the CGI is actually really good in terms of setting and atmosphere for a movie that's essentially borrowing from Journey to the Center of the Earth. Tron Legacy, absolutely in here. A little bit of Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome as well. I thought the world visually, aesthetically speaking, I thought it was fun. But some of the fighting, I noticed like there's when everything was CGI on screen and CGI things were fighting other CGI things, like the camera knew how to stay on it because it's not a camera. There were some scenes where live action people are fighting. It's really choppy, shaky cam at times. Good.
And I love when Jeremy, because I love Jeremy's takes because Jeremy doesn't hold back. I love his takes. And there one complaint I've always had about the MCU is the cutaways. Like, if you're having a fight scene, let that fight scene ride out. You don't need to be able to, show, two people fighting and you cut to this part and you cut to this part, you cut to this part. Like, what the whole entire hell? When you see a fight scene, I need to see them fighting. Shang-Chi changed that because if you cut away in kung fu movies, it's going to totally ruin your experience watching kung fu films because these are two actors that are badass martial artists and you want to see them get down. And in certain instances, you need to see that when you have two badass combatants. I know that's a stunt double and they're trying to cover up the stunt double, but damn, you don't need to unless these people need to go and start doing what they did in the Matrix. Stop cutting all this crap and moving it all around, man. It makes it horrible, especially when you go see this in like 3D or a 4D experience. You want to freaking throw up. Let's keep going.
Believe it. It's like shaky cam is the trend we never want to come back. Like all trends, it's coming back, and I'm seeing more of it again. Let's not. The three acts of this film feel like three different movies sometimes. Like the first act was the most interesting. We get to this world, it's more interesting than I thought it would be. And that's because it didn't feel like an MCU movie in terms of the MCU vernacular, the way people talk, their quippiness. It wasn't really there. Yeah, in the Ant family gets this MacGuffin in which they can all understand everyone, which means we can understand everyone. And after that, a large number of these quantum realm life forms now talk with that cookie cutter MCU sass that's been plaguing the MCU.
And that's another problem. I'm getting to your comment here, Chill. Maybe because the fights are mapped out in pre-visual, and that's probably what it is. And that's always been, to me, what why I like Shang-Chi so much is because you didn't really see like CGI fighting, but you're not fighting. I mean, they had the CGI monster, and of course, it was a big monster. But when it came to the actual fight scenes between two human beings, it was on par. And a lot of the fighting, like Black Widow's fighting, always sucked to me. It sucked because they kept cutting away, and this different scene, the different scene, to hide that it's not Scarlett Johansson and it's some stunt double. And that's the only problem that I have. You could do why you I mean, in kung fu movies again, it's always two martial artists that are in this particular scene. So you're seeing what they're doing. And what I like about the Matrix, because those people actually study and train, so when they did these fight scenes, you could do it in one fell swoop and it looked good. And the MCU has a problem with this, a major problem with this. And all the stuff that he's talking about, I haven't seen any extra scenes. Um, Even during the Super Bowl, some of the videos I don't even remember because I started getting sick. So and maybe you're right. There are probably free visuals and stuff like that, but it's really one of those things that they have to get a grip on it and find one cohesive way to be able to do it across various amount of movies. Let me keep going.
For years. Things like that make me feel like the MCU's parody of itself. Can we just have that die at Thor: Love and Thunder? I get it. I'm not as young as I
Jeez,
used to be. I'm
yes.
not as connected. Maybe I have that old man energy going along. A young folk that might be watching this, do you enjoy that? It's actually a real question. I am curious. Like,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't, and I have this problem with She-Hulk. People don't talk like that. If you go back and watch my She-Hulk videos, man, I was destroying it because I'm like, real people do not talk like that. You have to be able to talk in a way where it sounds like two people having actual dialogue. Again, the Last of Us is showing, number one, the source material matters. Number two, people are talking like real people. That's the thing. And the MCU has to get away from being so goofy at times and actually talking like real people actually talk. And that's the only problem. Excuse me, y'all. That's the only problem that I have with a lot of the MCU movies. Thor: Love and Thunder was so horrible. I watched it 3 times. I haven't watched it since it came. Like the third time I seen it, and that was around the time it came out because I went to go see it in the movies, did a review, seen it again on then it's funny, but God, people don't talk like that. And he's right, it starts to become a parody. Let's keep going.
what's the demographic they're going for? So the first act starts out interesting, it starts to drop because of that. Second act is when we get a lot more Kang. Like that. The third act is that shit. I am flipping a coin as to which movie had more shit going on for the last act, just on screen in general. This or the last act of Aquaman.
Oh my God. So this it must go. Okay, if you remember the last scene of Aquaman, there was a battle underwater. Very visually beautiful. Now, I would never take anything away from Aquaman, and I'm kind of glad the MCU did the Tolokans, which they were supposed to be Atlanteans. They did it the way they did it, and not compared to Aquaman, because Aquaman is stunning. It's absolutely gorgeous. But that last act had a bunch of shit going on. There is fighting in the water. There's a bunch of crap going on. Oh, don't forget to like this video too. Please give me a thumbs up if you're liking what I'm talking about. I had to do that. But anyway, there's just a bunch of stuff going on. A bunch of stuff going on. And you're sitting in the movie theater like, holy crap. But I did like it. I didn't have a problem with Aquaman. I think his brother went out like a punk bitch, but hey, That's just it's Aquaman. You know what I mean? But let's finish this. Let's get this done, and so I can get up out of here.
A lot going on. And for Ant Man, it feels a little weird to me. Granted, Ant Man's really the thing that dabbled into the quantum realm because, well, he's the character with the shrinking tech. So why not? I get it. It makes sense. But in terms of this grand scope adventure, it's like Scott Lang, Ant Man. That was never what I liked about him. I liked the smaller personal story of the first movie.
I
Having him
agree.
come in for a bigger fight as part of an ensemble with the Avengers, that was
Yes, that was
fun, that
awesome.
worked. This movie was a lot more than Ant Man ever needed to be. There are more characters in this movie than there ever have been in an Ant-Man movie in terms of protagonists. Scott Lang's character, the Ant-Man vibe, that blue-collar, everyday man who got to be a hero regardless of the odds, gets lost under the weight of this whole enormous story. To be
And that is why I honestly like I love Ant Man. I like Ant Man in the Wasp too. I really think those films are very underrated because they're small and contained. Again, I've said this before. Ant Man kicks off it, well, let me say it like this: the original Ant Man kicks off or is runs into Civil War. Then you have Ant Man and the Wasp that goes right into Infinity War. And in this particular movie, we know is going into Secret Wars, Kang Dynasty, so on and so forth. And I get what he's saying as far as like I do like that everyday man is, especially, Ant-Man and the Wasp, when they're having their the situation in San Francisco. I get that and it's cool. But I do kind of want to see him get on a little larger scale, he's Ant-Man, make him a little larger, and try to have you know, in a real adventure, as a real superhero. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And again, I will tell you this, tell you this on my review when I review this film. That video is going to pop up tonight, so make sure that you got your alerts on, that you see this. But yeah, I'm going to do, it's going to be non-spoiler review. I'm just going to give you my thoughts on the movie. So yeah, I want to see that, but I do want to see Scott Lang Ant-Man just have a real adventure, a bigger adventure just with him, all of his family, I guess, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids Marvel Edition, I guess. So let's see. Let's go ahead and finish this.
fair, they come close to capturing something special with Scott Lang's arc, but this isn't horseshoes or grenades. Close isn't there. It's just fine if you choose to see the movie how I choose to see the movie, which is Kang the Conqueror versus the Ant-Man. I don't give a shit. This movie worked for me when it was Kang. Also, MODOK's in it. It's not a spoiler, is it? Everyone, like, I knew MODOK was in it, and I don't have Twitter. If I knew about it, I feel like most people knew about that. If you feel like that's a spoiler, if you're a big MODOK fan, don't get your hopes up. He sucks ass in this movie.
And that's the thing that hurts. If you haven't seen the mode, I will tell anybody, if he sucks ass in this, I'm fine, because there's a MODOK show that came out on Hulu that is absolutely amazing. It is awesome. I don't care if they, but I do kind of care because I like MODOK, but I like MODOK because of that show. Like that grew me closer to MODOK. You know what I mean? But if he's trash in here and he's expendable, yeah. Darren Cross's MODOK, and it's not the original MODOK character. I don't. Sometimes I really question myself. What is the MCU doing when they do stuff like that? It is not the original MODOK. It's just a way to bring Darren Cross back. Don't care.
Never been a MODOK super fan myself. Like MODOK's one of those characters that's bobbed and weaved in and out or through Marvel stories that I've known. But I was never like, oh, MODOK's badass. I need to see MODOK in a movie. And if this is MODOK in a movie, no one should ever think that. He was bad CGI face, especially in contrast with, like I said, the setting looked great. So bad MODOK CGI face just looks worse. The whole time I was like, MODOK is silly at best, but worse than that. Why is he even here? He doesn't need to be here. Look, in the end, Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, it was all right. It had some fun parts. Jonathan Majors as Kang was great, made the film entirely. I just wish the film he was in as a whole was better. I feel like this is a better time if you're drunk.
Yeah. Wow. He gave it the better time if you're drunk.
And now
Yeah,
it's
it's
a
a
quantum
party.
party. All right, so Ant-Man and the Wasp.
All right. All right. So again, I'm going to go see it. I'm not going to go see it drunk. That is I love you have no idea. I would love to meet Jeremy Johns one day. As a YouTuber, I've been watching this guy literally probably the last 10 years. No joke. I love Jeremy Johns and I would love to meet him one day and just talk. Just for real. I love this guy. So yeah. Well, looks like I got a venture. What do you guys think? Do you think the Rotten Tomato score is fair? Do you think they're, butchering this movie too much? If you're going to go see it, what are you most excited about? Make sure to leave it in the comment section. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell notification. Never miss one of my videos. Man, I'm interested. When people say stuff is bad, it makes me want to see it a lot more. Not even gonna lie to you. So I'm about to get out of here, y'all. Peace, vibe higher, man. Have a great rest of you guys' day, man. Appreciate you stopping by. If you came to this portion of the video, thank you so very much for sticking around for the entirety of the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell notification so you never miss one of my videos. And if you want to get a little more personal with me, hit me up on my Instagram, hit me up on Twitter, or any of the social medias that you see below you. Until next time, I'll holler at you guys later. Peace and vibe higher.